Hi guys, how are you? It's eventually I've got onto it. Terrible start. I do apologise for everything. It's a bit late, but eventually we got there. We're eventually on the stream, aren't we? So again, not the first stream I wanted to start doing. It's a sad case, I'm afraid, for all sports in general. But yeah, we'll start. It's about racism currently in the cricket game at the moment. Hopefully my mic's fine. Hopefully you can fine. We'll have a quick look at everything just to make sure everything's fine. Appears to be. Um, I would just like to know your thoughts in regarding of the issues to hand at the moment in regarding of the sports racism that's coming about at the moment. So what I would like to start with at the moment is claims by Azeem Rafiq. Okay, so this is basically the story that we've got so far. Again, there's a lot more currently that's coming out in the press, but I'll start from the beginning. Again, if you're in the chat, I'd be more than grateful if you can just put little thumbs up to make sure that everything's fine. So, claims by former cricket player Azim Rafiq about racism have led to resignation of several top officials at Yorkshire Club. Okay, now this article hasn't been obviously done by myself; it's by BBC News. More than obviously they've stated about it. What I'll do is I'll read the article out and opinions, as well. Oh, thanks. Cheers. So this is again, there will be a podcast out that me and Sean has obviously recorded as well. Again, look in the channels, you'll be able to visit his page as well. But like again, we'll get on to the topic in hand. Okay, again, it's a pity that it's had to come to this, but we'll start. Okay, so claims by former cricket player Azim Rafiq about racism led to resignations of top several officials at Yorkshire County Cricket Club. Meanwhile, former players Alex Hales has apologised about a photo showing him wearing black makeup as published. So basically, he's, if I'm not mistaken, the cricket player who called a number of other cricket players a Kevin. So I've never heard of that racial term myself. However, it started as like a little thing I'm aware of, where you used to call all the non-British white players a Kevin. And then from that point, what's happened is he went on England duty, and this got spread around on England duty as well. And then it was referred that he'd called his dog it okay as well. So, and that's gone from the aspects of it was just friendly banter. That's what he was trying to state. Okay. But he's denying all these allegations. And again, they are allegations. Okay. So, Azim Rafiq is a 30-year-old former cricket player. Okay. He spent his majority career at Yorkshire. He was born in Pakistan, moved to England when he was only 10. He captained England at youth level, and eventually became captain of Yorkshire in 2012. So he was playing, I believe, from there since about 2008. In September 2020, he gave an interview to ESPN in which he claimed that institutional racism at Yorkshire County Cricket Club had left him close to taking his own life. Rafiq says he suffered constant abuse, including the use of racism language about his Pakistani heritage during his time at the club. So, in regard of that, what was the reaction to Yorkshire Cricket Club? Well, apparently not very much. So, essentially, he did all this due to the fact of his contract was coming to an end. And he was made these allegations and remarks stating he's been abused by quite high-profile players, and he wanted to get this looked into by the club. So, what he's done is brought this to the board. And instead of them looking into the matter and doing their own investigation, they did do their own investigation eventually, but they made him sign a non-disclosure agreement. So he had apparently a large payout sum in a few hundred thousands, and they stated, to take this, but you can't talk about it. He rejected that notion and instead decided to take the story that obviously he's taken his own life and all the massive allegations he's got to the public, and a lot of well-known journalists have come to obviously his defense and published it. Now there's a lot more to this story, which obviously we'll go into now. The club launched a formal investigation in the response to Rafiq's allegations. Okay, A year later, Yorkshire said it accepted that Rafiq was a victim of racial harassment and bullying, and an independent panel upheld 7 of the 43 allegations made by Rafiq. However, they refused to release a full report for legal reasons in relation to privacy laws and defamation. Okay. On 28th of October, Yorkshire determined that no player, employee, or executive would face any disciplinary action for the report finding. So that's the main aspect of this, isn't it? The fact that they've done this massive report and no one at all has been penalised against it. So that's a huge problem, especially if you're stating that racism is actually a massive factor in the club, and not only just in the club, in the country as well. We've just seen Euros as well, which has been covered with racial abuse. However, you see about taking a knee, the kick out campaign in football. However, the ECB, the English Cricket Board, hasn't really done anything that I can think of in recent times to actually counteract the racism in sport. And to say that it's heavily instigated with ethnic minorities, essentially, it's a pity that they haven't done anything. But again, they've done a lot of stuff to counteract that, okay? And we'll get onto that more, okay? So after a year later, they've obviously released this report with 43 allegations, and only 7 of them was determined that they, stated what was reasonable, and they accepted it. So, however, when they refused to release the report, on the 28th of October, Yorkshire determined that no, obviously, player was eligible or, executive as previously stated, but the club chairman, Roger Hutter, concluded that there was insufficient evidence to say Yorkshire was institutionally racist, which is ridiculous in itself. You've just done an investigation and you're saying we haven't got any problems, but you have, from the top to the bottom. So I'm probably going to get sued for that. But so what they did, this is the big step, okay, is that Roger basically stated, and he announced that his club founders were insufficient to state it. However, this is the interesting part, okay? This is what happened next. There were calls from MPs, including Health Secretary, currently, Sajid Javid, from the Yorkshire Board to resign over the affair, to obviously the chairman and quite a few executive levels. On the 4th of November, obviously the start of this month, this is how fastly it's moving now. The England and Wales Cricket Board, the ECB, suspended Yorkshire from hosting international games at its Headingley Stadium in Leeds until it was clearly demonstrated that it can meet the standards expected from a professional club. On the 5th of November, Hutton resigned and apologised unreservedly to Rafiq, appearing before MPs on Tuesday. He accepted that the club was institutionally racist, which is amazing, since a week, even or two before, he stated that it wasn't. Several other board members have also stepped down, including Yorkshire Chief Executive Mark Arthur. Okay? Now, a new club chair, Lord Patel, was appointed. He praised Rafiq as a whistleblower and promised immediate steps in response to this scandal. Okay, so starting the employment tribunal with Rafiq, these are obviously his ideas of how to respond to the matter. Setting up independent whistleblowing hotline, commissions and new reviewing processes and procedures on diversity and inclusion, and sharing the full report into Rafiq's allegations with parties who have a legal interest, including Rafiq's lawyers, with the ECB's MPs. So going from nothing to the fact of now, Hutton's obviously resigned, and the best thing that they can do is get Patel, let's be honest. I mean, they've lost a lot of sponsorships, and it's going to be hard for them to come back. But yeah, I mean, it depends what you state as doing nothing, okay? So, as you can see, obviously, in the comments now, it's saying that taking it's a passive gesture, which is kind of correct as well. However, it's doing something. Doing something is better than nothing, isn't it? It's like clapping for the NHS, isn't it? We're not actually going out and saving lives. However, we're showing our appreciation. So it's not that taking a knee isn't actually, like saying it's a passive gesture, but we're kind of stating that it's not acceptable to do this, which it isn't. Let's all be honest. If it's not about how we tackle it, it's about that we all understand it's a horrible and ugly disease, racism. And, in 2021, guys, I mean, we're nearly in 2022. We've had a pandemic, and yet, whilst in the pandemic, it's not the worst thing that COVID's hit. It's the fact that we're still having, again, it is a horrible, horrible disease. But it just baffles me that we're still doing this. That, there's been marches and everything, and it just still seems to be, if not worse, it is bringing what it should have done, a conversation. And it's just a shame that this is obviously being covered up so much. That's the problem, and that's where we've come from so far. Yeah, I thought we got shot in 2000 as well, but it appears that we haven't. That's the issue. So Rafiq, anyway, appeared in regard of the UK Parliamentary Committee on Tuesday to face questions from the MPs. He told them he believes that he lost his career to racism and that he would not want his son anywhere near the game. I mean, that's hard to say that you've got your living from this, and say that you don't want your son near it is obviously, it's a hard blow to take, isn't it? Which is actually really weird, since you say that Roger beforehand was stating that there wasn't actually any institutional racism, and it looks like it's absolutely embedded in everywhere. The fact that banter, it's just not acceptable anymore, is it? To say in the banter level, it's not banter. Rafiq had to apologise later, however, after it emerged he had used anti-Semitic language in his Facebook message in 2011. He said there were absolutely no excuses, which there isn't. But don't forget, a lot of people, when you get to this figurehead, you've got to remember that you've got to be so clean in this game when it comes to politics, because that's what we are now. We're facing politics, okay? So you come, same with Marcus Rashford, when he was stating the feed the kids, they all come after him hard, especially the Tories. However, when you get to that, when he was saying he did his anti-Semitic comments, he was a 19-year-old lad full of anger from the experience he's had. He should never have said them things. He can state it, but again, 10 years ago, and it's a hard line to toe when you've had racism yourself and his anger. Again, he knows he's wrong. There's no excuses for it. But again, it's someone's gone out to try to obviously to smash his character, essentially. We see it all the time, especially in Britain with our press. Meanwhile, 3 former Yorkshire cricketers, Yorkshire players, have come forward to say that they heard former England Yorkshire captain Michael Vaughan make racist comments. Now, whilst, again, these are allegations, Michael Vaughan had a BBC show as well, which, again, this is going to be biased towards because he worked for the BBC. However, they've been quite open and independent regarding their journalism regarding Michael Vaughan. And it's such a pity that it has to be Vaughan, because, again, a lot of us have got really fond memories about him. And when you've got your idol under scrutiny, you're instantly going to want to jump to his defence. Now, with Michael Vaughan, he's got punditry work. He's got, again, he's everywhere, isn't he? Former captain of England and obviously Yorkshire. And it's not just him, it's his legacy, his family, everything else. And that's all going to be chucked in down the pan, isn't it, if he found guilty of these allegations. Vaughan admitted that on the 4th of November that he named in the report, that he was named in the report that obviously was raised, but he completely and categorically denied any instances of racism on his part. Vaughan did not appear on his BBC Radio 5 live show on Monday. This Monday, can I point out, from the 21st. On Monday, a BBC spokesman said the organisation was making discussions with Michael and his team. Nottingham player Alex Hales categorically also denies, totally categorically denies any racial connection in naming his dog following allegations by Azeem Rafiq. So he's just stating that it just coincidentally, his dog's called Kevin. He apologised for causing offence by wearing black makeup at a party in 2009. Again, it's one of them things where, are you actually sorry? Are you sorry for being caught? He's still denying it. I mean, he really hasn't got anywhere to go with that, though, has he? But again, allegations. Let's not try to get the mob factor in here. And until people are literally convicted, it's hard to. It was so easy to destroy people in this country. The allegations alone will destroy someone. That's the main thing, isn't it? However, if they are true, it's disgusting, and rightly so. He should obviously lose all his career. How have the British agents responded to it? This is according to BBC. The affair has resonated with other British Asians involved in cricket, some of whom have shared similar stories, including being forced to accept racist abuse as banter, which is just sad in itself, isn't it? News presenter Christian and Guru Murphy tweeted that there was barely a brown-skinned person in Britain who hasn't felt that smorant holding back the tears feeling while being told it was just banter. The former England captain Nasser Hussain, who was born in India, wrote in the Daily Mail this week that Rafiq's case will all be too familiar with many British Asians, but he added that if this talk of systematic change in the game is true, then the game may be ready for a brighter and more inclusive future, which again, we only can all hope for, can't we, to be honest? Again, I really, really do wish this was a better way to start my stream. I really do. But I just really do think the issues need to be addressed. I don't know what the way forward is. Hopefully a discussion and education in regarding of racial abuse. You know, it's a pity. There's no, again, accepting responses in there. Again, hopefully we can work on a campaign together. And it's not just about campaign, it's about changing a lifestyle, isn't it? Let's be honest. Hopefully, and again, hopefully we won't be having this discussion next year, 5 years, 10 years time, and we will be building bridges. It's just, I'm amazing that we're just still at this point, and hopefully it won't just be sport that changes, it'll be society in general. But again, let me know what you think in the comments. It's a pity that obviously we had to come to this, but thank you again for you know, just even watching this. And please tell me what your thoughts are below in the comment section. Please subscribe, like. Again, you can see that there's going to be a lot of videos, a lot more better topics in this anyway. That's well, when I mean better, you know, a bit more upbeat at least, you know, instead of all this sadness that we keep getting from these horrible incidences. But yeah, thanks for our sponsors, BK Accountants. Please check out in the description when eventually I get around to that. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. And if you want any other kind of topics, let me know. Okay, take care. Thanks for joining me.